We find ourselves in the lovely city of Madrid at a time when the world and Europe are experiencing a historical acceleration. The election of Donald Trump cannot be analyzed merely as a simple alternation in a democratic country, nor even as the patriotic outburst of a nation that would rightly dismiss the forces of decay. We are facing a truly global tipping point. Hurricane Trump is sweeping across the United States, which for too long has been mired in unbearable and sterilizing political correctness. Links with the Trump administration are already being forged, naturally or by necessity, both in South America, such as Argentina and El Salvador, and in many other countries around the world, particularly in conflict zones. Everyone understands that something has changed.
Thank you.
On its side, the European Union seems to be in a state of shock. The new mandate of Ursula von der Leyen is struggling to take shape, and our deputies observe that the voting sessions are more akin to NGO activities than legislative work. Mrs. von der Leyen has all but disappeared from the screens, and on 20th of January in the United States had a knock-on effect on the occupants of the Berlaymont building and in the corridors of the European Parliament. It is true that on the Brussels side, all indicators are red. The energy policy is a fiasco and is dragging our economies down. The migration policy is spiraling out of control, and the endless pit of immigration is draining our resources and filling our prisons. The industrial sector is beginning to openly rebel against the absurd and suicidal mandates imposed by the Green Deal. Peasant uprisings are brewing in all our countries. The EU's reckless diplomatic and military postures seem like futile gestures in the void, lacking any real purpose. These ridiculous and dangerous positions jeopardize world peace and are fatal to the influence of European nations globally. Even the EPP is beginning to doubt the infallibility of its committee's dogma, and German and French business leaders, usually so conciliatory, are no longer hiding their anger. Today we are witnessing the emergence of a divide that we have long theorized in France and which was the basis of our successful European campaign: power versus degrowth. In reality, it was we, the patriots of the nations of Europe, who were right. We were right when, back in 2019, we refused to bow to the quasi-religious injunction of the Green Deal imposed by the German Greens on the whole of Europe. It is us who were right. We were right when we rejected the logic of the Migration Pact, which is a project for the programmed demographic submersion of Europe. That was us. We were right when we did not want to reduce Europe to a large market, but to consider our continental vision as a community of history and civilization, comme une communauté d'histoire et de civilisation, as an area of fraternal cooperation between our peoples, an entity of coordination and action respectful of each and fruitful for all, et fructueuse pour tous. It is up to us to be the bearers of this European spirit, the spirit of discoverers and creators, of engineers and inventors who have contributed so much to the world. When the European Union's only dream is to disrupt a market, when its only value is a tinkering made of moralizing and bad feelings as a method, is drying up standards when its only horizon is the lowering of what Europe was. During its last term of office, the European Union sent our countries into a threefold decline: energy degrowth, like the ideological rejection of nuclear power; industrial decline in the form of a ban on internal combustion engines; agricultural decline, it is the reduction of yields and cultivated areas, and voluntarily and even authoritatively reducing our livestock numbers. And if that wasn't enough, the supposedly progressive European Union has left Europe by the wayside of all the great technological revolutions emerging on the threshold of this third millennium. Digital technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, and alternative energies such as hydrogen or substitute fuels. While professing globalism, it has shown no interest in the world's maritime routes, which are essential to our sovereignty of supply, allowing China develop its Silk Roads project. Today, it is pushing for green fuels in air and sea transport, leaving control of these to other continents. In reality, the EU is not political. It is moralistic. It has no future vision, but only good feelings for the moment. The report draws attention like the recent competitiveness compass, which carries a late and poorly followed admission of facts that Europe is falling behind because of the European Union. So, what is MAGA? Make America great again. Otherwise, a call to power founded on nations, on each of our nations. Make no mistake about it, we must understand the message that the United States and indeed the world is sending us. MAGA has become the rallying call for these patriotic Americans. Once again, proud of their country and sure of themselves, is interpreted by us Europeans as a challenge to power. It is a solemn warning to the European Union, urged to reconsider its declining agenda, and because it is one of the factors of our collapse. It's the immigration project. Yet this mental stronghold called the European Union, locked in its glass buildings and trapped in its globalist ideology, is it even capable? At a time when the world's center of gravity seems to be moving away from Europe, the Americans are saying, be strong. And to do that, be yourself. Reject the repentance and guilty conscience instilled by the wokists and doomsayers. Turn away from fatalism and resignation. Develop the hidden potential within you to benefit your societies, your nations, your civilization, and the world, the best of yourself. The result of the American elections should be the wake-up call for the old continent, which has fallen into a state of lethargy, and should accompany this great movement of regeneration that is about to begin. It should not be interpreted as a call for alignment, but as an invitation to follow the Renaissance movement that is emerging in many parts of the West, starting with the European countries that have national governments at their head. In fact, my friends, this challenge to our power is simply an exhortation to exist in the world that is coming. It is in the history that is being written. And in this new context, we, the national governments of Europe, are the only ones who can speak to the new Trump administration. Alongside the Americans, we respect each other, and as patriots, we realize that a leader is deeply committed to safeguarding their people. Everyone in our countries and collectively in Europe, our national parties are ready for this. Time is running out for us in this millennium that is upon us, which is seeing the natural awakening of the peoples of the world everywhere. Inventive and conquering people, people who believe in the future, and above all in their own future, people who know, often because they have suffered it, that history does not do favors to the weak. We Europeans learned from history that Europe did not create power. It is the nations within that did. This power, the intellectual, scientific, artistic, and technological contributions that characterized our continent stems from the genius of our individual nations, not from a cold, technocratic structure. Goethe in Germany, Hugo in France, Shakespeare in the UK, Da Vinci in Italy, Cervantes in Spain, Rembrandt in Holland, and Mozart in Austria, Chopin from Poland. They owe their prodigy only to the cultural and national melting pots that saw them born and that made them what they are today. There is no European people that has not produced geniuses whose intelligence has not enlightened the world and served the power and renown of Europe. Europe's influence is no accident of history, but the logical flowering of cultural diversity when it can express itself freely and naturally. The European Union, on the other hand, is a pump that works in reverse. It drains the sovereignty of our states to institutionalize impotence. It discourages the creative forces of our peoples in order to impose a stupid and above all infertile standardization on everyone. It erodes the spirit of builders discouraged by logics of limitation, prohibition, and deconstruction. At the end of the tunnel, we see light appearing, illuminating our public views that are increasingly open to a resurgence, a revival of vitality. That is a revival of life. With each new election in Europe, the dominoes fall one after the other, as if the political game were aligning itself in an inexorable movement. Astronomers who strive to perceive distant realities speak of the alignment of the planets. This shows, my friends, how immense our responsibility is, each in our own countries and collectively within the group of patriots. History is no longer unfolding, it speeds. It is accelerating. And because we are driven by the love of our peoples and our countries, we will be ready to take up this historic challenge. Long live France, long live Spain, long live the nations, long live the real Europe, long live the patriots for Europe.